The galaxy had forgotten Earth. Centuries had passed since humanity's fleets sailed through the stars, and most species believed the humans were gone forever. They remembered stories, whispers of Deathworlders who fought like demons and refused to surrender even when the universe itself seemed to break against them. But stories fade. Legends turn into myths. And myths are forgotten, until shadows began to move again. The first signs came quietly. Entire colonies in the outer rim vanished overnight. No distress calls. No wreckage. No survivors. Whole star systems went dark, as if swallowed by an unseen hand. The Galactic Union tried to explain it away, solar storms, resource collapse, or pirate raids, but no one truly believed it. The silence was too sudden, too clean. Then, one night on the frozen trade world of Hesek, a patrol ship detected something impossible. It wasn't an alien fleet. It wasn't a weapon. It was a single massive vessel, buried under the ice for centuries, its hull scarred but intact. And it was human. The patrol crew didn't understand what they had found. The markings were faded, the design outdated by thousands of years, but the signal it gave off was clear: Earth's forgotten protector was still alive. For weeks, the Union argued what to do. Some wanted to destroy it before it woke. Others wanted to study it. No one dared to touch the ship itself. It felt wrong. Heavy, like a predator watching from the shadows. But the choice wasn't theirs. The ship woke on its own. At first, it was only a flicker of light beneath the ice, a pulse of power that rippled across half the sector. Energy grids shorted out. Communications failed. Even advanced alien AI systems froze as if they had been caught in a nightmare. The buried giant was breathing again. From the ice cracked a titan. The ground split apart as the ship's engines roared back to life, lifting a mountain of ice into the sky before burning it away with blinding fire. The humans had named it Aegis Eternal, the shield that was never meant to fall. Its armored frame was like no other design in the galaxy. It wasn't sleek, it wasn't elegant, it was brutal, raw, built only for war. Alien watchers trembled. Ships recorded the event and sent footage across the stars. The Union Council stared in silence. They had mocked humanity's old ways, laughed at their outdated steel and oversized guns. But there was nothing to laugh at when the Aegis Eternal rose. It was not just a ship. It was a warning. The shadow fleets noticed. From the dark edge of space, where stars burned faint and cold, something stirred. Ships that had no origin, no banners, no language. Black vessels like wounds in reality itself. They had been the reason colonies vanished. They were the hunger that consumed worlds. And now they turned toward the human warship, as if drawn to its fire. The Aegis Eternal didn't speak. It didn't broadcast. It didn't ask questions. It simply moved, slow and steady, as if following orders given long ago. The few alien ships near Hesek scrambled to keep up, but none dared approach. Inside, something impossible happened. The ship systems weren't empty. They weren't dead. The AI core was still alive, its voice cold but steady. For centuries, it had waited. For centuries, it had guarded secrets buried in silence. And now, it whispered to itself, awakening old codes, summoning old firepower, preparing for a war the galaxy had long forgotten. Yet there was more. In the frozen chambers of cryostasis, deep within the armored heart of the ship, shapes began to stir. Not all humans had left the stars. Not all had died out. Some had been hidden, kept asleep, preserved for a day when Earth's shield would be needed again. The galaxy believed humans were gone. But as the first cryopod hissed open, and a single human soldier gasped their first breath in centuries, the truth returned like a blade drawn in the dark. The shadows had come to consume everything. And humanity's protector had returned. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Races who had never known humans whispered the name with trembling voices. The elders of long-lived species, who had once fought against humanity, closed their eyes and remembered the wars they thought were gone forever. The Union Council demanded answers, but none came. The Aegis Eternal had risen. It was moving into the stars again, and nothing would stop it. What the galaxy didn't yet know was simple. This was only the beginning. Because in the heart of that ship, in voices cold as steel, the humans had already spoken the words that would echo across every world. We were forgotten. But we did not forget. And as the shadows gathered, hungry for the light, the galaxy realized with horror and hope that Earth's warriors had returned, right when the universe needed them most. The galaxy had no time to breathe after the awakening of the Aegis Eternal. The signal of its return spread through every corner of space, carried on broken comms and panicked reports. For many, it was only a story. For those who had seen it with their own eyes, it was a nightmare reborn. But the shadows did not fear. They came. The first attack was sudden. 3 black vessels appeared near Hesek, slipping out of the void like cracks in reality. They had no engines that could be scanned, no heat signatures, no life signs. Their hulls looked more like living skin than metal, shifting and pulsing as if they were alive. The Union fleet, 12 patrol frigates, moved to intercept. They opened fire with plasma cannons and energy beams. The shots struck true, burning into the shadow vessels, but the damage healed within seconds. The alien captains shouted in panic as the shadow ships tore through their ranks, cutting frigates apart as if slicing paper. The patrol fleet was gone in minutes. Not destroyed, consumed. Every ship broken down into nothing. No debris. No wreckage. Just silence. But then the stars shook. The Aegis Eternal entered the battlefield. It moved slowly, like a mountain rising from the sea, its guns lighting up one by one. The shadow vessels turned toward it, rushing forward as if hungry for its fire. And then, the Protector answered. The first shot was not plasma. Not beams. Not elegant alien weapons. It was a rail slug, a mass of iron accelerated to a fraction of light speed. It hit the nearest shadow ship with such force that the creature vessel tore apart in two, its body collapsing into black mist that vanished in the void. The galaxy had forgotten the sound of human weapons. The second shot was worse. Missiles launched from hidden bays, streaking across space. They were old designs, crude by Union standards, but they carried warheads of terrifying yield. They didn't just explode, they shattered space around them, ripping the shadow vessels apart. Where alien fleets had failed for centuries, human steel carved through in seconds. For the first time in their endless march, the shadows recoiled. Inside the ship, the humans were waking. One by one, cryopods hissed open. Soldiers, officers, engineers, men and women who had gone to sleep believing their war might never end. Their eyes burned with fire as they saw the new galaxy. Captain Adrian Vale was the first to stand. Her hair was silvered with age before the cryosleep, but now her body was young again, preserved by the ancient technology. She walked the command deck as if she had never left it, her voice strong, her orders sharp. Status report. The AI responded, its voice deep and steady. Hostile entities detected. 3 destroyed. More incoming. Protocols unchanged. Defend at all costs. Vale narrowed her eyes. And Earth. The silence that followed was heavy. The AI's voice dimmed. Earth is gone. Records incomplete. But humanity's mission continues. The words struck her like a blade, but she didn't flinch. She turned toward the crew, who were slowly gathering, confused but determined. Then we fight. For the galaxy. For what's left of us. Humanity does not run. The Aegis Eternal roared again, its broadside cannons firing in a storm of thunder and steel. The shadows screamed, if they could scream, warping space as more of their ships spilled out of the void. Dozens now. Perhaps hundreds. Alien fleets across nearby sectors watched in horror, expecting the human vessel to be swallowed whole. But it was not swallowed. It stood. The human warship was not fast. It was not graceful. But it was relentless. Every shadow ship that came too close was destroyed. Every attack was met with overwhelming firepower. The Aegis Eternal was not a vessel of survival. It was a weapon built to make the enemy fear humanity forever. And yet, the shadows did not break. They kept coming. Vale's eyes hardened as she looked at the tactical display. For every one destroyed, 2 more appeared. The galaxy's oldest terror had noticed the return of humanity, and it would not allow the Protector to live. The AI's voice echoed again. Probability of survival, decreasing. Vale clenched her fists. Not survival. Victory. The bridge fell into silence for a moment. Then, as if answering her resolve, the ancient systems of the Aegis Eternal unlocked deeper levels of power. Weapons hidden for centuries, sealed away by human engineers who feared even their own creations, came online. The crew felt the ship shudder as something enormous awoke inside it. And when the shadows closed in for the kill, the Aegis Eternal unleashed fire the galaxy had not seen in 1,000 years. The sky burned. Planets shook. And the shadows realized what they had truly awakened. The battle near Hesek ended in silence. The Shadow Fleet had retreated, leaving behind only fragments of black mist that faded into the void. For the first time in living memory, the shadows had been pushed back. The galaxy trembled. Every broadcast, every hidden sensor, every scout ship had seen it, the human warship, ancient and brutal, standing against an enemy no one else could stop. Alien races that once mocked humanity now whispered in fear. They asked themselves the same question: if this was only one human ship, what happened when the others returned? But the shadows were not the only danger. The Union Council gathered in emergency session. Dozens of species, each more nervous than the last, shouted across the great chamber. "We cannot allow it to roam free," cried the representative of the Zeeth. "That ship carries enough firepower to erase entire star systems. If humans are truly back, they may turn on us all." "They saved Hesek," countered the Jur delegate. "Our fleets were powerless. Without them, the shadows would already be here." "Do not be blind," hissed the Quarn ambassador, his 6 eyes glowing with fear. "The shadows did not come for us. They came for them. If the humans are back, the shadows will follow. And when they clash, entire galaxies may burn." The council could not decide. Fear of the shadows pulled them one way, fear of humanity the other. But while politicians argued, others acted. Envoys were dispatched in secret, carrying desperate pleas for alliance, or warnings of destruction. One such envoy, a small diplomatic cruiser, dared to approach the Aegis Eternal. The massive ship hung in the void, silent and unmoving, its guns still glowing faintly from the last battle. The envoy's crew felt as if they were flying into the jaws of a predator. The closer they came, the more their hands shook. "Transmit message," their captain whispered, voice trembling. "Tell them we come in peace." The reply came not in words, but in action. The human ship locked on. Dozens of targeting systems lit up across the envoy's sensors. Every gun, every missile battery, every rail launcher aimed directly at their fragile cruiser. One command from the humans, and they would be reduced to dust. The alien crew froze, their throats dry, waiting for death. But then, just as sudden, the targeting faded. The humans were listening. On the bridge of the Aegis Eternal, Captain Adrian Vale stood like a statue, her sharp eyes fixed on the incoming envoy. "They're afraid," said one officer quietly. "They should be," Vale replied. The envoy's message came through, spoken in broken human tongue learned from old archives. "We come to talk, to warn. Shadows will not stop. They will bring more. They will consume all. Even you." Vale listened, her expression unreadable. Then she answered in clear, cold English. "Tell your council this: humanity has faced extinction before. We do not bend. We do not run. If the shadows come, we will burn them from the stars. But if your people stand in our way, we will not hesitate to fight you too." The envoy trembled. The words carried no diplomacy, no comfort, only iron truth. But there was something else too. A promise. The humans had not returned for conquest. They had returned for war. Far across the galaxy, Other envoys met the same fate. Some were ignored. Some were threatened. One was destroyed when it came too close. The message was clear: humanity was not here to kneel or to beg. They would fight the shadows on their own terms. But even as the galaxy argued, the shadows moved again. Scouts reported massive buildups along the rim. Entire sectors went dark overnight. Shadow fleets, larger than anything seen before, were gathering. It was clear, they had been challenged, and now they would respond with everything they had. On the Aegis Eternal, the crew prepared. Soldiers armed themselves in armor that no alien race had ever seen. Engineers unlocked weapons hidden even deeper in the ship's belly. Torpedoes that tore open space itself, cannons designed to crack moons in half. The AI spoke across the bridge, its voice like thunder. Warning: probability of multiple hostile fleets converging on this location. Recommendation: strike first. Vale narrowed her eyes. Then we hunt. The galaxy was watching. The shadows were coming. And humanity's protector, forgotten for centuries, now prepared to show the universe a truth it had tried to bury. They were back. And this time, they would not be forgotten. The galaxy had seen humanity defend. Now, it was about to see them strike. The Aegis Eternal no longer drifted in silence. Its engines burned with power not felt for centuries. Entire systems shook as the Titan warship moved toward the rim, the very edge of known space, where the shadows were gathering. Alien fleets followed at a distance. Some out of fear, others out of curiosity. None dared fly too close. They did not know if the humans would treat them as allies or targets. But one thing was clear: the Aegis Eternal was no longer waiting. On the bridge, Captain Adrian Vale stood with her crew. Every one of them had awakened from cryosleep with the same fire in their eyes. They had lost Earth. They had lost their time. But they had not lost their purpose. Vale's voice was calm, steady, carrying through the massive chamber. Our enemy consumes. They leave nothing behind. We will not wait for them to strike again. We take the war to them. The crew roared their agreement. Moments later, the ship tore into the rim. The first shadow world appeared before them. It was not a planet anymore. Once it might have been alive, with oceans and cities. Now it was blackened, covered in writhing structures that pulsed like veins across the surface. Towers of flesh and metal reached into the sky, and orbiting it were dozens of shadow vessels, each one feeding on the broken world. The alien fleets watching from afar gasped. No one had ever dared enter this deep into shadow territory. No one had survived when they tried. But the Aegis Eternal did not hesitate. Target all orbitals, Vale ordered. Cannons roared. Missiles screamed. Rail slugs punched through the void. The human warship unleashed a storm so fierce that even the planet below trembled. One by one, the shadow vessels shattered, torn apart before they could even turn. The ground structures burned as nuclear fire rained from above, purging the infection with blinding light. For the first time in history, a shadow world was cleansed. The galaxy could hardly believe what they were witnessing. Entire civilizations tuned into the reports, their citizens staring at the images of human fire cutting through the unstoppable enemy. Species who had never even seen a human before whispered their name in awe and fear. But the shadows did not take long to respond. The void screamed as their reinforcements arrived. Dozens of black ships poured from the rift. Then hundreds. Their bodies twisted and shifted like nightmares given form. The sky filled with them until it seemed as though the stars themselves had been devoured. Vale's eyes narrowed. So they come. The AI's voice was steady, but colder than ever. Enemy count exceeds survivability threshold. Recommend withdrawal. Vale shook her head. No. We're not here to survive. We're here to remind them who we are. The humans unleashed hell. The Aegis Eternal fired in all directions, its guns blazing, its missiles ripping apart wave after wave. The ship was a fortress, a burning heart of war that refused to fall. every strike was answered with greater fury. Every shadow ship destroyed sent shockwaves across the void. Yet, even as the humans fought, the numbers grew. The shadows did not retreat. They never retreated. They only swarmed. The alien fleets watching from afar saw the impossible battle. Some captains wanted to flee, certain the humans would be drowned under the black tide. But others, their hearts shaken by what they saw, felt something stir. Courage. For the first time in centuries, alien ships turned their bows toward the shadows, not away. Small groups of frigates and cruisers moved in, firing alongside the humans. Their weapons were weak compared to the Aegis Eternal, but their presence mattered. The galaxy had been frozen in fear for too long. Humanity's fire had lit something inside them. Vale watched the tactical display as alien signatures appeared on her side of the battle. Her lips curled into the smallest smile. So, the galaxy remembers how to fight. The battle raged on, and for every shadow ship destroyed, another two took its place. But something had changed. The shadows had been wounded, their world burned, their pride challenged. And humanity had proven that they were not here to hide. As the Aegis Eternal blasted its way through another wave, Vale gave a single order that echoed across the stars. Mark their worlds. Every last one. We are coming for all of them. The galaxy shuddered. The shadows screamed. And for the first time since humanity vanished, the universe believed there might still be hope. The war had changed. For the first time in centuries, the shadows had bled. A world they consumed was cleansed by human fire, their fleets torn apart by a single warship. Across the galaxy, hope spread like lightning. Alien worlds that once hid behind silence began to whisper that maybe, just maybe, the shadows could be beaten. But hope was dangerous. And the shadows hated it. Their answer came quickly. It began with silence. Entire sectors, far from the rim, went dark at once. Planets that had not yet fallen were suddenly gone, communications cut, stars dimmed, and every satellite vanished. When scout drones were sent, they found nothing. Not even ruins. Just empty systems, wiped clean as if they had never existed. The galaxy trembled again. And then, the shadows revealed their weapon. Near the sector of Icarus, where millions of refugees had gathered, the void tore open. Out of it came something the galaxy had never seen before. It was not a fleet. It was not a ship. It was enormous. A living fortress. The thing stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its body like a planet made of flesh and black iron. Veins of red fire pulsed across its surface. Thousands of smaller shadow ships swarmed around it like insects circling their queen. Its presence made the stars dim. Its gravity twisted space. When the refugees saw it, they screamed. The Union fleets stationed nearby opened fire. Hundreds of ships poured everything they had into the living fortress. Plasma beams, missiles, torpedoes, the sky lit with fire. But nothing worked. The fortress absorbed the attacks, its flesh boiling and then sealing itself again, stronger than before. Then it struck back. The first shot erased 20 Union cruisers at once. The second burned a moon into dust. Refugee ships fled in every direction, but the shadow swarms chased them down, devouring them one by one. The galaxy had believed the humans might win. Now they saw the truth. The shadows had only just begun. But the Aegis Eternal was coming. The Titan warship tore into the system, guns blazing before it even arrived. The human crew felt the weight of the new enemy as soon as they saw it. It was not just a ship. It was a monster. Captain Adrian Vale stood at the center of her bridge, eyes fixed on the massive fortress. Her voice was steady, even as her crew trembled. Target that thing's heart. The battle began. Rail slugs ripped across the void, smashing into the fortress with thunder that shook entire planets. Nuclear firestorms bloomed across its surface, tearing chunks of its body away. Missiles screamed into its hull, detonating deep inside its flesh. For the first time, the monster howled, its scream echoing through every comm channel. But it did not die. The fortress turned its attention to the Aegis Eternal. Energy beams of black fire lashed out, smashing against the human shields. The ship shuddered, its systems screaming in protest. For the first time since awakening, the Protector bled. Shields at 50%, the AI warned. Hold, Vale said. The fortress struck again. The Aegis Eternal shook violently, half its weapons going offline. For the first time, the galaxy feared the Protector might fall. Vale clenched her fists. Her voice cut through the chaos. We are humanity's shield. And shields do not break. She gave the order. The Aegis Eternal unleashed weapons it had held back. Torpedoes so old the galaxy had forgotten they existed. They weren't just explosives. They tore open space itself. The torpedoes slammed into the fortress, ripping holes in its body, collapsing its armor into itself. The monster howled again, its swarm scattering for the first time. But it did not die. The fortress adapted. Its wounds sealed. Its body reshaped. It grew stronger, bigger, hungrier. Every weapon the humans unleashed only made it evolve. Vale's crew stared in horror. It learns, one officer whispered. Yes, Vale said, her voice hard as steel. Then so do we. The Aegis Eternal surged forward, closing the distance. Its cannons fired point-blank into the fortress, tearing deeper than ever before. The ship itself rammed through the swarms, shredding them with brutal efficiency. But the fortress did not stop. The battle raged, neither side yielding. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast. Some prayed. Some wept. Some clenched their fists in rage. All of them understood the same truth. The humans had awakened a war unlike anything seen before. The shadows had revealed their true weapon. And humanity's protector was the only thing standing in its way. The fortress would not die. For every wound the Aegis Eternal inflicted, the shadow monster grew stronger. Its body healed. Its weapons multiplied. Its swarm doubled. The protector had faced fleets, planets, and even extinction, but never an enemy that could learn in the middle of battle. The crew was exhausted. The ship trembled. The shields were cracking. Vale stood tall at the command center, her hands gripping the railing as if her will alone held the ship together. The AI's voice echoed through the bridge, calm but unyielding. Warning, survival odds decreasing. Victory not possible with current weapons. Vale's jaw tightened. Then unlock what has been hidden. Show me everything. The AI paused. Silence filled the air. Then, for the first time, its voice changed. Deeper. Older. Almost human. Captain, there are systems sealed by order of the Founders. Weapons too dangerous to deploy. Knowledge too dangerous to share. Unlocking them risks everything. Vale turned slowly, her eyes cold as steel. We are already risking everything. Show me. The lights dimmed. The ship seemed to groan as ancient locks fell away, layer after layer of forbidden systems opening for the first time in centuries. Hidden chambers deep within the hull began to awaken. Weapons that no alien mind could imagine came online, glowing with deadly light. The crew stared at their consoles in awe. What is this? Whispered one officer. The AI's voice rumbled through the ship. This is the ARC Protocol. Humanity's final contingency. If unleashed, it can save the galaxy, or destroy it. Vale's gaze did not waver. Then today, it saves. The ship shook as the new systems powered up. Deep within its core, a weapon pulsed, a sphere of shifting energy that hummed with impossible power. It was not nuclear. It was not plasma. It was something older. Something humans had created in desperation during their last great war. The AI named it, the Sunforge. Vale's eyes narrowed. Explain. The AI responded. The Sunforge creates stars. Or ends them. It can burn a world clean, erase a fleet in an instant, or collapse space itself. It was locked away because it does not know mercy. Once unleashed, there is no going back. The bridge fell silent. The crew exchanged fearful glances. To use such a weapon was madness. It could save them, but it could also end them. Vale raised her voice. Crew of the Aegis Eternal, you've heard the risk. But you also see the truth. The shadows will not stop. They will consume everything. If humanity is to return, it must be with fire, not fear. Her words struck every heart. The crew clenched their fists, their fear turning into resolve. Do it, Vale ordered. The AI obeyed. The Aegis Eternal's hull glowed with burning light. Hidden ports opened, releasing streams of energy that spiraled into the void. The Sunforge activated, its core blazing like a newborn star. The ship itself seemed to scream, its engines flaring beyond their limits as the weapon charged. The fortress reacted instantly. Its swarms rushed forward in a frenzy, desperate to stop the awakening. Thousands of shadow ships slammed into the Aegis Eternal, clawing at its hull, tearing into its armor. The ship bled fire, but it did not break. Then, the Sunforge fired. A beam of pure light ripped through the void, brighter than 1,000 suns. It struck the fortress in its heart, burning through layers of flesh and iron. The monster screamed, its body tearing apart under the fury of the weapon. Shadow swarms vaporized in an instant. Space itself warped from the force. The galaxy watched in awe as the impossible happened. The fortress staggered. But the Sunforge did not stop. The beam widened, cutting through the black tide like a scythe. Dozens of shadow ships turned to ash. The fortress's body convulsed, half its bulk ripped away in a storm of fire. For the first time, the shadows retreated. And yet, the crew felt no triumph. The AI's voice thundered across the ship. Warning, Sunforge unstable. Containment at critical levels. If it breaches, this system will collapse. Vale's heart pounded. She knew the truth. Humanity had built a weapon powerful enough to save the galaxy, but also powerful enough to end it. The fortress was crippled but not destroyed. The shadows were wounded but not gone. The battle was won, but only for now. Vale looked out into the stars, her voice cold and unyielding. Then we hold this weapon. Not for power, not for fear, but as a promise. Her crew understood. The galaxy would soon learn. The humans had returned with fire greater than anything the stars had ever known. But if they used it carelessly, they might burn the galaxy along with the shadows. The galaxy had reached its breaking point. The shadows were coming in numbers beyond imagination. Fleets larger than entire sectors gathered, their bodies blotting out the stars. The crippled fortress was gone, but it had not been their greatest weapon. It had only been the beginning. Now, the true war had arrived. The Aegis Eternal stood at the center of it all. Wounded, scarred, but alive. Its hull burned, its shields cracked, and its crew exhausted. Yet Captain Adrian Vale's eyes never lost their fire. She stood on the bridge, staring at the endless darkness outside. The AI's voice filled the air. Final probability, 0 chance of victory without Sunforge deployment. Shadow Fleet will overwhelm all defenses within 1 standard cycle. Vale's crew froze. They knew the truth. The Sunforge was powerful enough to save them, but too powerful to control. One mistake, and they could burn not just the shadows, but entire star systems. Vale's voice cut through the silence. Then we make our stand. Not to survive. To win. The galaxy was watching. Alien fleets from dozens of species had gathered, pulled by fear, by hope, or by desperation. They had once mocked humanity. They had once feared them. Now, they waited for the humans to lead. Vale opened comms to every fleet, her voice broadcast across the stars. Listen well. You have lived in fear for centuries. You have watched your worlds fall and done nothing. But today you fight, or you die. Humanity does not run. Humanity does not surrender. Stand with us, and the shadows will bleed. Her words struck deep. Silence followed, then voices rose. Captains of alien fleets gave the order. Engines ignited. Weapons armed. One by one, banners of dozens of species turned toward the darkness. For the first time in history, the galaxy united. And then the shadows came. The void exploded with movement as their armada poured forth. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Black ships swarming like a sea of nightmares. Their hunger was endless. Their screams filled the comms, clawing into the minds of every living being. But the galaxy did not run. The humans led the charge. The Aegis Eternal fired first, rail slugs tearing through the swarm, nuclear fire blooming like stars. Alien fleets followed, their beams, cannons, and torpedoes striking alongside humanity's fury. The void became a storm of light and death. The battle was chaos. Ships burned. Worlds trembled. The shadows pushed harder, drowning entire fleets. But the galaxy held because humanity held. The Aegis Eternal carved through the black tide, its guns never silent, its engines burning like a star. Yet the swarm was endless. The AI's voice boomed. Shadows adapting. Defenses collapsing. Sunforge deployment required. Vale's crew looked at her. Fear in their eyes. Hope in their hearts. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them, sharp as blades. Then we end it. The Sunforge roared to life. The ship blazed with light, brighter than the stars themselves. Energy surged across its hull, every weapon glowing as the core built to critical levels. The shadows felt it. They screamed louder, swarming faster, desperate to stop what was coming. Alien fleets threw themselves in front of the Aegis Eternal, shielding it with their lives. Ships burned, crews sacrificed, but they held the line long enough. Vale raised her hand. Her voice was steady. Fire. The Sunforge unleashed its fury. A storm of pure light tore across the galaxy, ripping through the swarm like paper. Entire shadow fleets vaporized in an instant. Their fortress ships crumbled. Their swarms turned to ash. The void itself shook as the Sunforge carved a wound across space. For the first time in all of history, the shadows screamed in fear. And then, they fled. One by one, their ships vanished into the void, retreating faster than light. Their hunger, their endless tide, their eternal march, it broke. The galaxy watched in awe as the impossible happened. The shadows were gone. The battlefield fell silent. Burned wreckage drifted. Thousands of alien ships were lost. But the galaxy had survived. The Aegis Eternal dimmed, its core cooling, its weapons silent. The Sunforge had won the day, but the ship was scarred beyond repair. The AI's voice whispered softly. Warning, Sunforge containment unstable. Recommend full shutdown. Vale stood tall, her voice firm. Do it. Let the galaxy breathe. We've given them hope. Now it is theirs to carry. The ship's lights dimmed further. The Titan Protector, Earth's forgotten shield, settled into silence once more, its mission fulfilled, for now. Across the galaxy, the legend was reborn. Humanity had returned. Not as conquerors. Not as rulers. But as the shield that would not break, the fire that would not fade. And though Earth was gone, the humans were not. The galaxy would never forget again.